My son sent me a message on my phone. He told me I could not go on the big family trip. He said his wife only wanted her family to be there. But this was after I had already paid for the whole vacation for everyone. I was sitting at my kitchen table. The house was very quiet. The only sound was the soft hum of my old refrigerator. I had my reading glasses on, right on the end of my nose. I was busy putting little bottles of sunscreen into small plastic bags. I had a bag for each of my grandchildren. I wrote their names on each bag with a black pen. My fingers were a little sticky from the tape. I had also been wrapping little gifts for them. I bought small keychains that said Aloha on them. They also said, "Grandma loves you." I wanted them to have a special surprise when we got to Hawaii. I was very happy. I had been planning this trip for 3 long years. It was my dream to take my whole family to a beautiful place. I imagined us all laughing together under the warm sun. Then my phone made a little buzz sound on the table. It was a message from my son Nathan. I picked up my phone to read it. The message said, "The card didn't work." I was confused. Then another message came right after. It said, "You should understand your place. My wife prefers to keep the vacation just for her family. You've already done your part by paying." I read the words again and again. They did not feel real. It was like reading a story about someone else. The message was sent at 2 minutes past 11 at night. The trip was supposed to be in 2 days. 2 days. All my plans, all my dreams, all the love I put into this trip felt like it was gone in just a few seconds. My son sent another message. It said, "Don't take it the wrong way, Mom. It's not personal. It's just simpler this way." I did not know what to say. I did not write back. I just stared at the bright screen of my phone. The light from the screen lit up my face in the dark kitchen. After a minute, the screen went dark. I placed my phone face down on the wooden table. He did not call me. He did not say the words with his own voice. He just typed them. He did not say thank you for the money. He did not even try to be kind about it. It was a cold, quiet message. It felt like he was telling me that I was not part of the family anymore. I was just the person who paid for things. I knew things had been changing for a while. It was in the small things. My daughter-in-law, Tanya, would often correct me when I was talking to the children. She would roll her eyes when I told my old stories. I love to tell stories about my husband, James, and our first trip to Hawaii when we were young. She did not like my stories. Last year, she had a big holiday dinner at her own mother's house. She did not tell me about it until the day before it happened. It was like she forgot I was part of the family. But the worst thing was the way she looked at me. She did not look at me with anger. She looked past me. It was like I was not even there. It was like I was a ghost in the room. But I never thought my son, Nathan, would be like that. He was always such a good boy. He used to write me beautiful cards on Mother's Day that always made me cry with happiness. Every year in March, he would bring me pink tulips, my favorite flower. He did this even after he moved to a different state. When he was a little boy in school, he used to tell his teachers that I was his best friend. I still have a picture he drew for me in the 2nd grade. It was a drawing of me wearing a big cape, like a superhero. Under the picture he wrote, "My mom saves the day." I kept that picture on my refrigerator for many years. Now it felt like I was not his hero anymore. I was not even in his story. I looked over at the little bag I had packed for myself. It was sitting by the door, ready to go. Inside the bag, I had 2 sundresses. They were pretty dresses that I had not worn for a very long time. I also packed a small photo of my late husband, James. The photo was in a little silver frame. I planned to put his picture on our dinner table when we had our special dinner on the beach. I wanted him to be there with us. I had also packed a small box of matches and a special candle. The candle was lavender, which was his favorite smell. I had this beautiful dream in my head. I imagined all of us standing on the soft sand of the beach. The sun would be going down into the ocean, painting the sky with beautiful colors of orange and pink. We would all be barefoot, feeling the warm sand between our toes. In my dream, my little grandson would be holding my hand. He would look up at me and ask, "Did Grandpa love the beach too?" And I would smile and say, "Yes, he loved it very much. He brought me here a long, long time ago, even before we had a lot of money. He loved it even more because he got to share it with me. But now, that beautiful dream was gone. It would not happen, because I was not invited to my own trip. I was the one who paid for everything. I paid for the big, beautiful house right on the beach. I booked all the airplane tickets for all 8 of them. I arranged for a special van to pick them up from the airport. I bought the tickets for the big luau party with music and dancing. I even booked snorkeling lessons for the kids because I knew they would love to see the colorful fish. I had ordered special breakfast baskets to be delivered to the house every morning. The baskets would be filled with fresh fruit and pastries. I spent so many hours on the phone with the travel agent. I wanted everything to be perfect. I made sure the beds in the house were extra soft for the children. I made sure the walkways were flat and easy to walk on because Tanya's mother had a bad knee. I did all of this because I loved them. And now, I was just someone who paid the bills. I was like a bank machine. They got the money from me, and then they wanted me to quietly go away. I sat in my dark kitchen for a very long time. The clock on the wall made a soft, ticking sound. Tick-tock, tick-tock. It was getting close to midnight. I did not turn on any lights. I just sat in the dim light from the little bulbs under my kitchen cabinets. For a moment, I did not feel angry. I did not even feel sad. I just felt shame. It was a quiet, aching shame. It was the feeling you get when you feel like a fool for hoping for something good. I thought about calling my son. I even picked up my phone. But what would I say to him? Would I tell him that he hurt me? He already knew that. Would I tell him that he had changed? Of course he had. Would I beg him to let me come? I could not do that. I could not beg for a place in my own family, not after everything I had given them. So I put the phone back down on the table. I stood up slowly. My legs felt a little weak. I walked to my little desk in the other room. I turned on my old laptop computer. It took a minute for the screen to light up. It was an old computer, but it was familiar and comforting to me. I clicked on a folder that was labeled Hawaii Travel Fund. I opened it, and there it was. It was the total amount of money I had been saving for 3 years. It was $21,763.84. I had saved every single penny of it. It started with small $10 bills that I would tuck away in an old envelope. Then, I started selling some of my old furniture that I did not need anymore. I even started tutoring English to students online late at night to make extra money. Every dollar I made went into this trip. I had set up a special bank account just for the travel fund. I linked all the payments for the villa, the airline tickets, and all the other services to this account. All the cards they would use on the trip were set up to pull money from my account. I did this because I trusted them. I thought trust was something I had earned after all these years. My computer mouse was blinking on the screen. I moved it over a button that said, Freeze Account. It would be so simple. One little click would stop all the payments. A quick phone call to the travel agency would stop everything. But I did not click it, not yet. Instead, I opened a new blank page on my computer. I started to type something else. It was not a message to my son. It was not a sad letter. It was a new list. It was a list of names. It was a list of women I knew from my church. They were good women who had not been on a vacation in many, many years. There was my friend Carol. Her son had not spoken to her in a very long time, not since she got sick with cancer. There was Louise, who had lost her husband last year. She was so lonely and still brought his photo with her to our Bible study group every week. There was Frances, who had helped raise her own grandkids but was not invited to their graduation parties. And there was Beverly, who told me last month that no one had ever taken a picture of her on a beach. I saved the list of names. Then I went back to the bank page. I moved the mouse over the freeze button again. A little box popped up on the screen. It asked, "Are you sure you want to pause all linked transactions?" I clicked the button that said yes. Another message appeared. It said, "All linked cards will be disabled immediately." I clicked yes again. Then, I closed my laptop computer and took a long, deep breath. I felt a little bit lighter. I picked up one of the souvenir bags I had made for my youngest grandson. I took out the little keychain and placed it on the table. Then, I opened all the other little bags, one by one. And for the first time in 3 years, I let myself imagine a different kind of trip. It was a trip where I was not unwanted. It was a trip where I was not a burden. It was a trip where I was the host. And I smiled. It was not a smile of revenge. It was a smile of clarity. I finally knew what I had to do. The next morning, I woke up very early. The sun was not even up yet. I could not sleep. I kept thinking about the words my son had written. The words were cold and sharp in my mind. I walked around my quiet house. I folded a blanket that was already folded. I straightened the picture frames on the wall, even though they were already straight. The silence in the house felt heavy. It felt like it was humming in the walls. Later that day, I opened my email on my computer. I was looking for a grocery receipt, but then I saw something else. It was an email from the travel agency. The subject of the email was, "Final Itinerary, Hawaii Family Vacation." My heart did a little flip. I clicked on the email and opened it. It had a full list of everything for the trip. It had the flight times, the check-in time for the villa, the dinner reservations, and the rental car information. It was everything I had worked so hard to plan. I scrolled down the page slowly. My eyes were looking for my name, but I already knew what I would find. There were 8 names on the list. There was Nathan, Tanya, and their 2 children. There was Tanya's mother and father. And there was Tanya's sister and her boyfriend. My name was not there. Marilyn was not on the list. I was not guest number 9. There was no mistake. I was not included. I sat and stared at the computer screen for a long time. Then, I closed the laptop very gently. I felt like if I moved too fast, something inside of me would break. That evening, my phone rang. It was not my son. It was Tanya. Her voice was very cheerful, too cheerful. "Hi, Marilyn. We're just finishing up our packing," she said in a happy voice. "I hope everything is all set on your end, with the money. I think the last payment is supposed to go through tomorrow, right?" I did not say anything for a moment. Then I asked her in a soft voice, "Is there anything you need me to bring for the trip?" There was a short, awkward silence on the phone. "Bring?" she said, like she was confused. "Oh, no, you don't need to bring anything at all." I tried again. I said, "I was just wondering if I should pack some games for the kids, or maybe some snacks for the flight. I know they sometimes get a little sick on the plane." She cut me off. Her voice was still trying to sound sweet, but now it had a little bit of steel in it. "Marilyn, we have it all handled. You really don't need to worry about a thing. In fact, we were thinking it might be best if you just took this time to rest. You can stay home and focus on yourself." She said it like she was trying to be kind, but the meaning was very clear. They had planned the whole trip without me, and now they were pretending it was for my own good. After I hung up the phone, I stood in my kitchen and looked out the window. I stared at the little bird bath my husband, James, had put in the garden 20 years ago. The water in it was very still. There were no ripples. I felt still too. I was not angry. I was not shocked. I was just very, very still. I did not yell. I did not cry. I simply sat in my husband's favorite chair, the one he used to call his lookout chair, and watched the world outside my window. The wind was tapping gently on the glass. The house was so quiet. In that quiet, I felt something inside of me become very strong, like a stone. I was not sad anymore. I was not confused. I was planning. I opened my banking app on my phone. I scrolled to the section for the travel fund. My name, Marilyn Rose Monroe, was right at the top. It said, "Account Owner." I checked the cards that were linked to the account. There were 6 cards in total. 1 was for the resort, 1 was for the rental car company, and 1 was for the airline. The other 3 cards were for them to use for food, souvenirs, and other fun things. All of them were set to take money from my account. I clicked on the settings button, and there it was. A little switch that said Transaction Lock, Freeze Mode. Under the switch there was a small note. It said, "Activate this setting to pause all outgoing charges from this account. Linked cards will be disabled." 1 click. That was all it would take, but I still waited. I opened my calendar. I found the day they were supposed to leave. I drew a red circle around it. Their flight was scheduled to leave from the Los Angeles airport at 10:45 in the morning. They would probably get to the airport 2 hours early to check in their bags. So I decided I would freeze the account at 8:15 in the morning, right when they were standing in line at the counter. Right when they were feeling happy and confident that everything was paid for. That is when the cards would stop working. But I still wanted to give my son one last chance. Just one. So, I sent him a very simple, soft message. I wrote, "Let me know if you'd like any help with the kids' bags or snacks before the trip. I can bring some extra motion sickness bands for Olivia." I waited. An hour passed, then 2 hours. I could see on my phone that he had read the message, but he did not reply. He did not say thank you. He did not say anything at all, and that is when I knew for sure. This was not a mistake. This was not about poor communication. This was about entitlement. This was about people who believed that love was a one-way street. I was the bank, and they were ready to take all the money and close the account. But they forgot that I was the one who owned the bank. I went back to my banking app. My finger hovered over the little freeze button. This time, I did not hesitate. I clicked it. The button turned from gray to blue. A message appeared on the screen. It said freeze mode activated. All transactions are now paused. It was done. I did not feel bad. I did not feel happy. I just felt quiet. There would be no warning email sent to them. They would find out that the money was gone in the same way I found out that I was not invited. They would find out in a silent, undeniable way. The next 2 days were very quiet. I did not answer my phone. When Tanya posted a picture on social media of their matching beach hats, I did not leave a comment. When my youngest granddaughter sent me a voice message saying, "Grandma, we're going to see sea turtles," I saved the message. I pressed my phone to my heart and whispered, "I'm sorry, my sweet baby, but someone had to teach your parents the value of a person's presence." Then, I went back to my computer. I opened a new document. This time, the list was not for them. It was for me. I typed a title at the top of the page. It said, "Those Who Deserve to Be Seen." I wrote down the names of my friends. Carol, Beverly, Louise, Frances, Nora, and Denise. Each one was a good woman, a woman like me, a woman who had been overlooked, underestimated, and overused. Under each of their names, I started to plan a new vacation. It would be a vacation of restoration, a vacation of power. Because if I was the one with the money, I would be the one to decide who was worthy of the trip. The morning they left for the airport was a bright, sunny morning. Tanya posted a picture from the back of their Uber car. The kids were smiling. My son Nathan was making a peace sign with his fingers. Tanya's caption on the picture said, "Off to paradise, family only." That last part, family only, felt like a little piece of sharp glass in my heart. I saw the picture while I was sitting at my kitchen table, drinking coffee from an old, chipped mug. It was the same mug my son had used to bring me breakfast in bed when he was 9 years old. I did not like the feeling in my chest, but I did not look away. Then the messages started. It was from Nathan. The first one said, "Hey, getting a weird error at check-in. Can you check the travel account real quick?" I did not reply. 5 minutes later, another message came. "They're saying the card was declined multiple times. Do you see anything on your end?" I still said nothing. Then the phone calls started. At first, he called every 10 minutes. Then every 5 minutes. Then one call right after another. The voicemail started too. His voice was getting more and more stressed. "Mom, it's me. Just give me a quick call, please. I'm not sure what's going on, but we can't get the rental car confirmed. It's saying the funds are unavailable. Can you look?" Then, "Mom, please. The kids are freaking out. Just tell me if something happened to the account." I kept my phone face down on the table. The clock on the wall said it was 8:27 in the morning. I pictured them at the airport counter. I could see Tanya's face getting more and more frantic with each beep of the declined card. I could see her parents asking questions in low, sharp voices. I could see Nathan sweating, trying to pretend that he was still in control. Then, a new voicemail came. His voice was a low, urgent whisper. "Mom, I don't know what you did, but if this is because of the text, can we please talk?" There was no apology. Just an offer to talk now that his perfect plans were falling apart. I still said nothing. The resort in Hawaii called next, but they did not call my phone. They sent an email. The subject was, "Booking cancellation request confirmed." I opened it. It said, "Dear Ms. Monroe, we have processed the requested cancellation of your villa booking due to the account freeze. All associated charges have been reversed, as per your authority as the sole account holder. We hope to welcome you in the future." I read the email 2 times, and finally I let out a long, slow breath. They would not be welcomed. Not there. Not now. At 10:40 in the morning, just 5 minutes before the flight was supposed to take off, Nathan sent one last text. It said, "We're boarding. Call me, please." But I did not call. They got on the airplane without a place to stay when they landed, because money is only good when it is backed by trust. And they had broken all of my trust. By the time it was noon, I had over 50 missed calls. There were calls from Nathan, from Tanya, and even from Tanya's mother. I did not listen to any more of the voicemails. I went for a walk outside instead. The air was warm, the birds were singing. A neighbor waved to me and asked if I was going anywhere for spring break. I smiled and said, "Not yet, but soon." The money came back to my account 2 days after their flight left. It came in little bits, one refund at a time. First, the money from the resort came back, then the money for the rental car company. Then the money for the airline, taxes and fees. All of it came back to me. My travel fund account was full again, but this time I would spend it differently. I would spend it on people who knew what a memory was worth. I opened my notebook and turned to a clean page. I wrote 3 words at the top, "The Forgotten Women." Then I started making my phone calls. I called Carol from my church. I called Frances, who always had a kind word for everyone. I called Beverly, who took care of her sick brother all by herself. I called Nora, who once told me that the worst part of getting old was feeling invisible. I called my old neighbor, Lucille, a sweet retired librarian who had never, ever seen the ocean. And I called Denise, who had once given me a ride to the doctor when I hurt my ankle and never let me pay her back for the gas. Each phone call was the same. The woman on the other end would say a hesitant hello. Then there would be a long, stunned silence when I told her my plan. Then they would say in disbelief, "You want to take me to Hawaii for a whole week? What's the catch?" And I would say, "There is no catch. I am taking you because someone should. I am taking you because you matter." I booked a new trip. I booked one big, beautiful villa for 6 women. 7 days of peace. I called the travel agent again, but this time I gave her different names. I asked for separate beds for everyone and one very large dining table. A table with enough space for all of us to sit together every single night. Then I went to the old box under my bed. Inside was the photo of my husband, James. The one I had planned to put on the family dinner table. His smile was still so strong and so full of life. I had the photo enlarged and put into a new frame. It was not a fancy gold frame. It was a soft walnut wood frame, the kind of wood that gets darker and more beautiful as it gets older. I wrapped the framed photo in soft bubble wrap and placed it very carefully in my suitcase. When we all arrived at the villa in Hawaii, it was more beautiful than I could have imagined. It was a lovely house perched on a cliff right above the ocean. Tall palm trees swayed in the gentle breeze like slow dancers. The salt from the ocean air kissed our skin. The first thing I did when I walked through the front door was take out the photo of James. I set it right in the middle of the big dining table. No one asked me to move it. No one questioned it. It belonged there. That night we all sat together at that table under soft hanging lights. The sound of the ocean waves whispered through the open doors. It was the most peaceful sound in the world. Carol wore a bright, colorful scarf and kept filling everyone's wine glasses. Beverly toasted to finally being somewhere I don't have to clean up after. Frances cried a little when she saw the beautiful view of the ocean from her bedroom window. We did not talk about the people who had forgotten us. We talked about the people we remembered. We did not compare our sad stories. We showed each other the strength we had found. And my dear James, he watched it all from the center of the table, his smile never fading. Each night, we lit one candle and placed it beside his photo. Each woman said one thing they wished someone had told them when they were 30 years old. "I see you," said Carol. "You are allowed to rest," said Francis. "You don't have to earn love," said Beverly. "Your story matters. You are not a burden. You are never invisible." On our last night, we all walked down to the shore together. The stars were so bright and so close. It felt like you could reach up and pluck one right out of the sky. The water curled around our ankles. I looked at the amazing women beside me. These women had given so much love without asking for anything in return. And I realized something very important. I had not just taken them on a vacation, I had brought them home. I had brought them home to each other, to themselves, and to the beautiful reminder that a good memory, when it is shared with the right people, becomes a legacy. The email from my son arrived 3 days after I got back home. I had just come back from a nice morning walk on the beach near my house. My suitcase was still only halfway unpacked. I still had the sweet scent of Hawaiian plumeria flowers on my clothes. I sat down at my desk, opened my computer, and there it was. The subject of the email was, "Just want to clear the air." It was from Nathan. I took a deep breath before I clicked on it. The email said, "Hi Mom, we're back now." The trip was, well, not quite what we imagined. A lot of things went wrong, obviously, and I guess some of that was our fault. I'm not saying everything was handled perfectly. Maybe things could have been communicated better. Tanya says hi, by the way. She was really stressed out and didn't mean to exclude you like that. I think she just wanted the trip to feel a certain way. You know how she gets about structure. Anyway, I've been thinking. Maybe we weren't fair to you, but we're home now and the kids are very confused. We're in a bit of a bind financially. We had to rebook a bunch of stuff on our credit cards and it's a lot of money. So, I just wanted to ask, if you're able, could you maybe consider returning the original deposit we gave for the trip? Or even part of it? I know you probably feel hurt, but we're still family. Just let me know. Nathan. I read the email one time, then I read it again, and then a third time. Each time, my eyes kept going back to one sentence. Could you maybe consider returning the original deposit? I leaned back in my chair. They wanted the money back. They were not offering a real apology. They were not asking for healing. They were asking for a refund. I thought about the word deposit. It was as if they had put some of their own money into the trip. But they had not. They had not deposited anything but their own assumptions. Their assumption that I would pay for everything. Their assumption that I would stay silent. Their assumption that I would be grateful just to be included, even on the outside. I clicked on my sent items folder and found the original bank transactions. Every single payment had come from my name, my account, my savings, my sacrifice. There was no shared fund. They had not contributed anything. They were asking me to give them my money to pay for the consequences of their own choices. It would have been funny if it was not so sad. I closed my eyes. I pictured the beautiful dining table in Hawaii. I saw the 6 happy women laughing and clinking their glasses together. I saw James smiling from his walnut frame. There were no demands at that table. There were no expectations. There was just peace. Then, I thought of my son's email. It was full of excuses. There was no real apology, just a vague suggestion that I should understand them. But understanding does not mean I have to surrender. Love without respect is not love at all. I moved my mouse to the reply button, but then I stopped. I closed the email. There was nothing I needed to say. I sat on my own porch, my toes buried in the soft grass of my backyard. I watched the birds fly across the pink evening sky. A little breeze made the wind chime my husband had bought me sing a few soft notes. I thought about love. I thought about how it should be a circle, always coming back around. For a long time, my love had only gone out. It had not come back. It had taken me a long time to understand that you do not have to earn love. You do not have to prove you are worthy of it. The people who truly love you will choose you, even when it is not easy. That night after dinner, I went back to my desk. I looked at the picture of the 7 of us in Hawaii. We were standing on the beach, our arms around each other, smiling at the camera. I did not need an apology from my son anymore. I was not waiting for him to call. I was not hoping that Tanya would suddenly realize what she had done. I had stopped carrying the weight of their choices. And for the first time in many, many years, I felt light. I smiled. It was not the kind of fake smile you wear at family parties when you feel left out. It was a real smile. It was the kind of smile that comes when you finally realize that you were never the problem. You were just giving your best to people who had already decided it was not enough. The wind chime sang its song again. I had let go of the dream of a family that did not have space for me, and what was left was this beautiful, quiet peace.